Robotech on DVD. Well, last time we looked at all 6 versions of Robotech that are available on DVD, the original series that is. But there's even more Robotech-related material available on DVD that may be of interest to you. For example, there's the original Japanese shows. There's the Shadow Chronicles sequels to Robotech. So we're going to take a look at those this time around in the 4th and concluding part of my epic saga of Robotech, the DVD disambiguation review series thing. Today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Alright, so before we get into the original Japanese versions and what you have there, let's take a look at the latest chapter in the Robotech saga. I am, of course, talking about Robotech, the Shadow Chronicles. This is very exciting for Robotech fans because it is the first time in 20 years that we've actually had a proper sequel to the series. Now, some of you may be saying, well, what about this Robotech 2, the Sentinels, that you keep talking about? Well, here's the thing about the Sentinels. A couple of things. First off, the Sentinels was, I don't really like to call a sequel, but neither is it a prequel. It's kind of a sidequel. Because in terms of the Robotech storyline, the timeline, it actually takes place, it starts anyway, between the first and second generations. It takes place a few years after the first generation and a few years before the second generation and kind of bridges the gap between the two. And then it takes off, or at least it would have had it been finished, in its own direction and actually runs parallel to the timeline of the second and third generations. So it's actually sort of a, what's everybody else up to story. Continuing the adventures of characters from the first generation and basically telling you or showing you what they were up to and what was going on with them while everything back on Earth was going on in the second and third generations. So, pretty cool. However, Robotech, the Shadow Chronicles, starts at the exact moment of the ending of the original series of Robotech. So it picks up the story right where it left off. Now, people who have watched Robotech over the years will know that it ended on something of a cliffhanger, because of course it was intended to be continued. Carl Macek and Harmony Gold had always meant to do more installments of the saga, and there's been a few attempts over the years to do sequels, like there was one called Robotech 3000 that never really took off. There was, of course, the Sentinels. The Sentinels wasn't finished as an animated series, however, the story was eventually told via other mediums. There was a series of 5 novels, and there was quite a sizable interconnected series of comic books put out by a variety of publishers over the years that ultimately told, for the most part, the entire story of the Sentinels, and a lot of side stories as well. So, there was more Robotech out there, but not in the televised form that we all wanted. So the Shadow Chronicles is notable in that it's the first time in 20 years that we've actually had a proper sequel to the series. This is the first time we've actually found out what happens after the series. The only thing that kind of pisses me off, and a lot of other people, is that Harmony Gold has said now that they're doing the Shadow Chronicles, the whole Sentinels storyline is no longer considered canon. But honestly, I have yet to see anything in the Shadow Chronicles thus far that contradicts anything that we've seen in the Sentinels, specifically the Sentinels movie. But I mean, to be fair, in the Sentinels movie, they didn't get very far into the story. So there's the Shadow Chronicles. So this is the standard edition. This was the first release that came out. I bought it basically right when it came out. Couldn't wait to see it. Overall, it's really good. I found it to be quite a satisfying next chapter in the saga, but clearly it's meant to be chapter 1 in a much larger story. So I look forward to more installments. And apparently there is another installment coming out next year, I believe. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, they're basically doing a second direct-to-DVD movie, much like this. And then there's talk of doing a new series, but there's nothing confirmed yet. And actually, speaking of other Robotech, just while we're on the subject, there's a live-action Robotech movie in the works. Pretty cool, eh? Apparently, Tobey Maguire is going to be playing Rick Hunter. Just so you know, Rick Hunter. I don't know, fans are kind of split on that. I think he'll be fine. And Lawrence Kasdan has been hired to write it. If that name sounds strangely familiar, he's the guy who basically wrote The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. But he wrote The Empire Strikes Back. There was a co-writer, but Leigh Brackett, I believe. And the basic story was laid out by George Lucas. But for the most part, that was Lawrence Kasdan that we have to thank for The Empire Strikes Back being so gold-darned awesome. And the all-time greatest Star Trek, oh my god, did I just do that? Star Wars movie ever. Nothing against Star Trek, nothing against Star Wars. It was just a slip of the tongue. I don't know what happened there. I clearly need to be flogged. Yeah, so that's something to keep an eye on. That's really all the details that have leaked so far, just that those are the two people attached to the project. But definitely one I'm looking forward to, Robotech live action. But okay, so Robotech Shadow Chronicles. This is the regular edition. There is also this edition, which is the 2-disc special edition, which basically has, as far as I know, everything that the regular edition has, plus a second disc of extras. So that's it for Robotech. That's it for the story we know as Robotech. So what about the original Japanese shows that Robotech was created from? You know, re-edited, reworked, etc. Or bastardized, as some of the anime purists. Well, Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. Anime Purist, we got you covered. Because a few years back, Animego, who was for a long time being considered one of the elite releasers of anime on the various home video forms, put out remastered from new masters of the original film prints, the original Super Dimensional Fortress Macross series, complete, uncut in the original Japanese with English subtitles. So I know we talked about the Perfect Collection a while back. The Perfect Collection on VHS was never completed, so this was the first time the full Macross series had ever been made officially available over here. So I did it as a 9-volume set. We'll just cycle through all 9 volumes here, with 4 episodes per disc. So the picture quality, the bitrate was nice and high, and as I say, they did it from all new transfers of the film. So the picture quality was the best that Macross had ever looked prior to that. And then after they released the 9 volumes, or I guess around the same time, or sort of concurrently, they also released boxed sets, each set containing 3 volumes. So this particular collection is out of print. You can no longer get it as a new release. However, you do see it on eBay a fair amount, and through Amazon sellers. So it is still out there, and it is still available. And most fans generally consider this to be the best quality version of Macross that has ever been released. However, currently in print, Harmony Gold re-released Macross. Yes, Harmony Gold USA, the folks who brought us Robotech, re-released Macross. The crucial difference between this version and the Animego release is this version also has an English dubbed audio version, like audio track. So you can watch it dubbed in English if you're too lazy to read subtitles. One cool thing about the English dub, though, is they actually got the original actress who played Minmay in the original Japanese version of Macross, way back in the early 80s, to come back and do the English voice of Minmay. So you have the original Minmay doing the voice of Minmay in the new English dub. So that's pretty cool. That's a neat little treat. It also includes the original Japanese audio with English subtitles, so you're covered on both grounds. This set is a 7-volume set. They put a few more episodes on each disc. They put on 5 or 6 episodes per disc, so it's a 7-volume set. So some fans have said, well, that means they have to compress it more. Not necessarily. The Animego set was 4 episodes per disc. Now, I don't know offhand, but you could easily fit 4 episodes on a single-layer disc, which means that they were doing 4 episodes on a single-layer disc, and here they're doing 5 or 6 on a dual-layer disc. This one would actually be the better picture quality, technically. So I don't know how true that is. I mean, you'd really have to sit down and do a side-by-side. Maybe the Animego one was dual-layer, in which case it would be better picture quality, because 4 episodes, you know, made to fill a dual-layer disc, that's going to be really good quality. And then finally, we had 2 releases from ADV Films, who are also the same company that released Robotech on behalf of Harmony Gold. And I think the Macross was also released by ADV via Harmony Gold. We have Super Dimension Cavalry Southern Cross, which, by the way, back in the first part of this series, I made a mistake. I said that Southern Cross was 24 episodes. It's actually 23. I was thinking of the second generation of Robotech, which is based on Southern Cross, which is 24 episodes. But the first episode of that is an amalgam episode, where basically they took footage from Southern Cross and footage from Macross and created a new episode to kind of bridge the gap between the 2 generations. It was the episode called Dana's Story. Anyway, that episode does not exist in the original Southern Cross series. It was purely a creation for Robotech through some fancy editing. So Southern Cross, 23 episodes, complete, uncut, original Japanese dialogue, English subtitles. And then finally, yes, this is the last one, we have Genesis Climber Mospita, the original uncut Japanese series, 25 episodes, original Japanese dialogue, English subtitles. All of these are still available. So if you've ever been curious about what you've been missing or what the differences in the story are, or if you're just a purist who just wants to see the original Japanese versions, you're covered. Macross is available not once but twice, so take your pick, whichever one you prefer. I actually prefer the covers of the newer releases because they have those beautiful painted covers again, which I love. So, whereas the Animego release just had plain line drawings, colored lines on black background, well, as you saw, which is kind of cool stylistically, but, you know, I like a little more snazz and pizzazz to my covers. Oh, and I forgot to mention also with the Macross set, you can get a collector's box. So you can get a collector's box which has the first volume, and it'll fit the remaining 7 volumes. I hate it when that happens. I have a sneeze just sitting there. Oh! Whew! I didn't think we were ever going to get to the end of that. But that's it. That's it for Robotech on DVD. Hope that helped to clear up some confusion and enlighten you to some respect. And my voice is going. So, alright. Hope you all enjoyed that. Not sure what's coming next. I'll probably just do some single reviews, like single shot reviews instead of another epic one. There's some other disambiguation videos I want to do at some point, but I think maybe when I get more of my voice back. Alright, so that's it from me for now. So until next time, thanks for watching, and sayonara.